Alright, so here's our game, and this is our main menu. We start with a tutorial screen where it gives players instructions on how to play and the goal of the game. And then we have three different difficulties: easy, medium, and hard, which change how much damage the enemies deal to you and how much damage you deal to the enemies. So on hard, you deal less damage, and on easy, you deal more damage. So the game starts out with a dialogue scene, and it's a conversation between yourself, Hades, and one of his scouts. So the start conversation button will stay here. So in case you were to miss something, you can click it again and go back and read the dialogue. Dialogues have a little animation and they go through multiple slides. Once you're done with this, you click the done button and it will start you into the game. So this is our first level, and you start out with full health, full armor, and you have a mana bar, which is used for your fireballs, which you can launch by pressing right click. Your mana automatically regenerates, but there is a limit to how fast you can shoot your fireballs. And also in the top right you have your gold, which you can find collectibles like this one on the floor, and they will increase your gold amount, which you can eventually spend in a shop. So as you make your way over... Sorry,
The
go on.
different collectibles on the floor have different amounts, so that's a collection there, which will give you more.
So the regular silver that we picked up so far has given you 5, whereas that silver cluster gave 15. So as we make our way to the first enemy, he's going to try run towards you and be menacing. And if you notice, he has a glowing dagger on his waist. This is our first collectible from enemies. So he will keep trying to swing at you. It's not that difficult to avoid, and then you can fight back against him. So as long as you keep avoiding, you can keep your health and your armor topped up, which is important because they stay consistent throughout scenes, and the only way to regenerate them is using health potions and armor potions, which cost gold. So here the skeleton dropped the knife at his waist, which we can now pick up and equip. So the player now has a knife on his right hand, which means every time he does damage with his right hand, he will deal extra damage. Did you want to say anything, Taylor?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that as you may have noticed, the health bar use a gradient color, so it gives an indication of what sort of state the characters or enemy is in. So they start as green, then go to yellow, then go to red when they get low.
Alright, here is our second enemy. He takes less damage than the skeleton and does roughly around about the same amount of damage. The skeleton is one of the weaker mobs in the game. The advantage with this dog is he's not the smartest, so if you can get behind him, you can constantly hit at him without him being able to hurt you. So you see from this angle, he can't figure out that I'm behind him, so he'll keep attacking.
Might as well try and use one of the fireballs to do a little bit of damage.
Oh yeah. So try aim at him in the distance. There you go. I hit him there. You can see him recoiling whenever he takes damage there. And this enemy is a beetle. You don't really have a name for him, but his gimmick is that he's very tough but doesn't deal very much damage. So he takes a lot of work to kill. But as you can see, my HP isn't going down much at all, even though I'm taking a few hits from him.
Might as well show that the lava does damage.
Oh yeah, the lava. If you walk into the lava, it will significantly burn you, but you still do have time to jump out, and it will constantly deal damage until you die. So that it ticks down very quickly. So now we have reached our second dialogue at the end of the first mission. This is another scout talking to Hades, and he's informing him that he has got his, or Hephaestus, the smith of the gods, has finished his axe. So from this point onwards, we have an option to use an axe, which has its own animations, and you can still choose to put it away with a little animation there, and continue using your little dagger. So now if we go into the shop, we can purchase some armor potions, some health potions, or some upgrades to your character. We won't be able to pick up the dagger because we already have it, but in case you didn't pick it up off that first enemy by running past him, you can collect it here. For money, of course. So we'll pick up a health potion, which do respawn, and a armor potion, and we can enter the inventory now. So you can see we have our dagger, and if I click on the health potion, my health will increase. And if I click on the armor potion, my armor will increase. So I'm going to get a few of these and top up a little bit. And then when we reach the next shop, we will buy an upgrade for the character. So if we leave now, we reach our second level, which after a dialogue scene becomes flooded. So here's a dialogue with Poseidon, who's telling you he's come to stop you from taking revenge against your brothers. So once we're done with the dialogue, we're going to enter the scene, and we have our first boss fight against Poseidon. There he is in the distance, and he will shoot water blasts at you.
That Poseidon character was the same model as Hades, but one of our team members took it into Blender and readjusted him to make him look how we have it now, with the helmet, the trident, and all the other gimmicks that make him look unique. And as you can see, he moves around the scene. He randomly picks different locations that he will appear. So as you saw, he could possibly pick the same location, because it's purely based on random.
And he targets you with his trident before he does his attack. For the current point in time, falling in the water is perfectly fine. But if we now hurt him somewhat, I'll avoid his fireballs to not take too much damage, run up and hurt him. You can actually collide your fireballs with his fireballs, like that. And it's kind of an interesting way to avoid taking damage. And I'll just hurt him until he reaches the halfway point. And now the water turns red. If I enter the water now, I will take damage from it. So I want to avoid going up to Poseidon to fight him, and instead fight him at range with my mana. But I've run out of mana, so now I have to wait and avoid his attacks.
And the mana doesn't do as much damage, so you won't be able to kill him as quickly, making it harder. Kind of like a final phase of the battle.
And there's also a lot of atmospheric effects going on this level, like the rain.
The lightning.
There's lightning, and some fog. So you'll see every now and then the water will light up when a lightning bolt hits.
Counter.
So if you time it right, you can counter all of his attacks, so he won't be able to hit you. You don't have to just avoid him. And we've killed Poseidon. Now we are into our conversation with Hermes, who is the son of Zeus. and he's telling us about how he will help us by giving us his sandals, which in Greek lore had wings on them, which allowed him to fly.
He instructs you that once you get to the top of the tower, you will be given them by him.
So now we're at our second opportunity to use the shop, but instead of doing this, I'm going to go to the next level and show what happens when you die. So there's lava at the bottom of this level, and when you collide with it, you die very quickly. And then you respawn back in the shop.
This
So-
allows the player to upgrade themselves if they were having too much difficulty with the level.
So in this case, I think I'm going to get a shield, so we have some damage reduction and can survive longer. So this shield reduces damage from all sources, and it also acts as a melee weapon for your left hand. Does less damage than the dagger, but more than your fist.
What's the damage reduction? Or do you not remember?
20%.
Alright.
So we take
And then-
20% less damage from all sources.
So as you can see, the lava is rising at a set speed. We use a sine graph to create the effect of water.
So
rippling.
it kind of looks like it flows. On this level, it's a lot of running, trying to outrun this lava.
So
If you've done as
all
much
the-
testing as I have, it's not that difficult. But if you are new to the game, it's actually quite a challenge.
Yeah, one of our teammates tried to do the level and was having a hard time. So the way this level works is there's a bunch. So it's basically randomly generated, but obviously with certain constraints to make sure the level is actually traversable. So you don't want the platforms to be too far away, and the game has been designed so it will only spawn a certain amount of chunks at
Oh,
once.
Lord.
Oh.
Oh, I think I'm dead. Yep.
If we want, we can just like skip to the next level. Might take too long.
I think
It's
we'll
up to you.
continue because we have a lot to talk about on this level.
Okay, can do.
So,
So yeah, as I was saying, the game will only load in, I think, 3 chunks at a time. Once you pass a certain checkpoint, it will remove the bottom chunk and add a new chunk on top to make sure there's not too much stuff going on in the scene.
it's not that noticeable for the player because we have a restricted camera pitch, so this is as high as I can look, and that's as low as I can look.
And the lava's
The
been
bottom
timed so you
floors.
can't physically go fast enough for you to not be able to see all of the chunks below. And with all the platforms that have movement, you may know that if you just land on a platform that moves, your transform won't match it. So we had to create a collision that would set the transform of the player to be the child of the platform, to make sure it gives the effect that there is gravity keeping the player.
Is
in
that
place.
even possible?
Yeah, it is. It's all been play tested.
Oh.
You just didn't wait long enough. You might as well go just switch to the next scene if possible. Oh, no,
I'm playing
you
on a compiled version, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
complete
you
it.
can't do that.
But we still have a bit more to talk about the game in general. So we're using some not so common effects on the player himself. For example, his hair has a texture which rotates, so it appears as if it's glowing, and it's fire. So if you pay attention, every now and then it will become more red and I fell. Become more red like that and become less red over time. The player also has a particle effect attached to his head, which simulates sparks coming off of him, which you can see trailing around behind him. What else did I have to talk about?
I can't really think of anything at the moment.
We've been
stuff
testing with
again.
this already, so we have some money already, and our health is low because we were in a different level and we lost some HP. So if we get some health and mana potions, and I'll buy the shield and the sword, and
So
I'll
the
get
sword is stronger than the axe, and I believe it has more range.
it does
Is
have
that
more range,
correct?
yes, yeah.
It does. Okay.
I'll get another armor potion.
Yeah, you're probably gonna need it. Okay.
Alright, so this is the final level, which is so Hermes. It turns out he tricked you, but he didn't expect you to make it to the top of the tower.
Which we
So
didn't.
now, which yeah, we didn't, but it's fine.
I mean, I think it's quite good that we struggled to complete the game, because if we could actually finish it in about 5 minutes, that wouldn't be very good,
Yeah,
in my
it
opinion.
should be a bit of a challenge. So this is the final level, and we have to fight against Hermes' armies. So we'll get approached by multiple enemies, quite a lot of them. They keep coming from over there. On this, the enemies can actually hit each other. So if you manage to corral them into each other, you can do extra damage. Like you see there, we managed to kill one of the insects just by making the other enemies hit them. So if I can quickly move past them like that, I can avoid taking too much damage myself, and yet they take damage. We can also fireball them in the massive hordes that they're in, so that is an advantage for fireball. It doesn't do much damage, but it does damage to a lot of people.
Do we want to talk a little bit about how like the
me-
enemy AI works
Let me
with the
full
movement?
screen this. How do I full screen?
I don't think you can. Oh, they maximize on play on the top right, and then press on pause. There you go. Yeah, so talk about a little bit the movement and enemies.
The movement.
Like, yeah, so we got the remember we had the bake and all that stuff. So just
Oh, okay, yeah.
general
So
stuff.
on this level, there is, or on almost every level, all the ones that have enemies at least, there's a nav mesh baked into the majority of the terrain. So all this area down here, the AI all pretty much instinctively know how to traverse it to get to the player. Up there, which is not visible, but it is how it works, is a platform that all the enemies are standing on, and some of them are placed further back behind others. And they walk in a straight line towards the player, and at the bottom, roughly around here, is a spot, and up there is a spot that link both those nav meshes together and cause the enemies to drop down from up there, because otherwise they wouldn't walk off the edge. They would just stay up there and menacingly stare at you. So let's try not die and get some damage dealt.
Have we probably already have, but have you tried the inventory button?
In the level.
Have we? Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we have our shield and our sword right now.
If
in
you
this
had potions,
play,
you could use it.
yeah, we could use the potions, but I used them all because I forgot. I'll demonstrate that in a minute, but
It's fine, don't bother, because the game might.
okay, cool. But yeah, in this gameplay, you can see we didn't take the dagger from the first enemy, so we don't have a dagger up until this point, which is a disadvantage to not taking that dagger. In which case, like, we would have been able to put our weapons away and punch them. All right, so we killed them all, and so Hermes is obviously quite distraught that we have defeated his armies, and he believes it's because of our anger. So he does give you his sandals because he no longer thinks he's worthy of having them, and just bids you farewell, pretty much. And that is the end of the game, or the end of the prologue, at the least. From this point onwards, after Hermes gives you the sandals, the player manifests them as fire wings because it represents him more than sandals do. So if we just turn them on, we can have nice fire wings. Which would be for any point beyond this that we were to code. So I don't have any gold right now, so I can't demonstrate it.
And that's about it. I think we showed everything.
I think we have it.